Good evening, everyone. It's 5:30 p.m. on April 9th. I'd like to call to order this regularly scheduled Board of Education meeting. Item A is called to order. Mr. Gomez, would you like to call the roll?
Sure. Ms. Coco?
Here.
Mr. Gomez? Here. Mr. Harris?
Here.
Mrs. Schaefer?
Here.
Ms. White?
Here.
Item B is approval of the agenda. 1 is motion to approve the agenda. It is recommended that the Board of Education approves the agenda of the April 9th, 2025 Board of Education meeting. Action by the Board of Education and adoption of a consent agenda means that all items are adopted by one singular motion unless a member of the Board of Education, treasurer, or superintendent requests that any such item be removed from the consent agenda and vote upon separately.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
I'd like to move to amend the agenda to remove item I3 Board Policy Amendment.
Second?
I'll second.
Discussion?
Which one is this?
It's the amendment. My issue with this is there's no language of what the policy will read after we amend it. So I'd like to remove this from the agenda until such time as we can receive actual language of what the policy would read.
I think we would have discussion with the amendment of what the policy would read. We would be amending it so that it goes along with the second item on there. So we would be discussing what would be amended in it before we amend it, which would just be the amount of time for a suspension
Can I ask a
of a
question?
policy.
Item I3, Mr. Gomez, you're asking for it to be removed from the agenda completely?
Correct. Because it says that we're amending a policy to do certain things, but it never gives us actual what the policy will say. Whenever we amend a policy, we actually are usually given the policy language as an attachment, so we know what we're voting on.
Well, we can still have item 4 on without item 3. It will just need to be put on our next meeting again, if that's what everyone.
With the correct language.
I'm not sure what the proper procedure for that would be. We would vote on that at this time, or you would make it a motion to?
What's
Well,
on
we're
the,
just voting on number 3.
Three.
We're not voting.
To remove
or
it?
To remove that piece of it,
Okay.
which would not
So
completely.
speaking to that, then item 4 is a subsequent item to item 3, but we can still keep item 4 on the
Correct.
agenda. We don't need to amend item 4. We would just have to add an item to the next week's agenda, or the next meeting's agenda, correct?
We would have,
we have to amend item 4 when we get to it.
correct, we would just
To
have
just
to
say
have
that it's
4 on the, item 4 would have to.
It couldn't
Be
say
on the
until
agenda
further
again.
notice, but it could still be suspended.
Okay, so one
Okay, I
item at a
see.
time.
I see.
You
Okay.
need, excuse me, if I may, Madam
Sure.
President?
Please.
3 amends the board policy in order to be able to suspend a policy. So you can't act on 4 without 3.
Well, we have a policy on suspension already.
Right, but it doesn't, but the way it's worded right now, what you're trying to do isn't listed, isn't an appropriate means the way it is as it's spelled out in that policy.
If I'm understanding it correctly, when we get to item 4, we could suspend it, but the suspension would be for one board meeting, not,
Well, that's just one piece of it. The other reason it states, and I don't have it in front of me.
It is.
It states for something contrary. I believe there's some language in there that says for a contrary reason. The reason you're suspending is not for a contrary reason.
My motion is just to remove item 3, so that's really what we should talk about. Because we really don't know what the policy will read once it's done.
Are you going to have time to do the policy before the next board meeting in 2 weeks?
Well, this came through a different route, so doesn't necessarily have to go to policy committee, but I'd like to at least
Yeah,
know what the final policy is gonna say before we
I
vote
got
on it.
We have to
When we get to this portion of the agenda, can we discuss this policy and then decide not to amend this policy and then take no action at that, or are we locked into this if we approve this agenda? Can we have further discussion of this at that time?
That would be my suggestion for me, would be to keep
I understand what you're saying,
item
Mr.
3
Gomez,
on
but
for discussion, and if at that point we decide that we need to take it off, or we take a vote and we don't do it, that's fine. But then we need, in order to move to 4, I believe that we need to have 3 on. So that would be my recommended route.
So you have a motion on the table right now? It was been moved
But I
and
don't,
seconded too.
that didn't answer my question, I'm sorry. If we decide to not remove this item from the agenda and we wait till we get to this portion of the agenda and we get to this agenda item and we discuss it, we decide not to move forward with this item, can we, in the action item, decide not to move forward and say no at that point?
Yes, because we'll be taking a board vote on item 3.
Okay.
If it's kept on the agenda.
Okay.
When do we need to have the new policy? 2OD, what was the date?
That's an open
I'm sorry.
question.
Oh,
This-
okay.
Yes.
There are a
thought there
couple
was-
different things in play.
I thought
There's a
there was-
certificate that has to be signed, which is a whole
Yeah.
nother story, which is the
Okay.
April 18th.
Okay,
They're sort of related, but, yeah, and then
Okay.
February 25th was actually when the law went into effect regarding this policy.
yeah.
Would it be appropriate to discuss it at that time or to discuss it at this time? All the items with that?
I think that everything going along with the discussion with item 3 and 4 together would be appropriate to discuss at that time in our meeting on the agenda. Or we're getting ahead of ourselves.
But you have an open motion, so you had a motion and a second, so I
Okay.
think you have to close that.
Okay.
Maybe I don't know if
If
somebody
there's
needs to
no
make
more
a new
discussion
motion.
then, I guess.
That was your board discussion, and then it would be followed by a vote,
Right.
so
Are
you
we-
can, yeah.
Vote to
Are we ready
remove.
to
Or not.
vote on the motion?
If there's no more discussion.
I've never been asked in 8 years on the board to vote on a policy without being able to read the policy, so that's why I am making this
Oh,
motion
I
to
understand.
remove it.
Yes,
I understand.
I understand the thought behind it.
Okay. Ready to vote on the motion to remove item 3 from the agenda? Okay, Mr. Gomez, would you please call the roll?
Yeah. Ms. Coco?
No.
Mr. Gomez, aye. Ms. White?
No,
Ms. Schaefer?
No.
Mr. Harris?
No.
You're back to the main motion.
Yeah.
You're back to the main motion.
Okay. Motion to approve the agenda. It is recommended that the Board of Education approves the agenda for the Board of Education
You already
meeting.
have a motion. on that. You just need further discussion and then a vote. if
Further
there's not.
discussion? Okay, Mr. Gomez, please call the roll.
Ms. Coco?
Aye.
Mr. Gomez? Aye. Ms. White?
aye.
Mrs. Schaefer?
Aye.
Mr. Harris?
Aye.
Okay, item 2, Treasurer Pro Tempore. It is recommended that the Board of Education elects Mr. Gomez as the Treasurer Pro Tempore to serve in the Treasurer's place for the April 9th, 2025 meeting. of the
I'll
Board of
second.
Education. Any discussion?
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Right, Mr. Gomez, please call the roll.
Mr. Gomez, aye. Ms. White?
Aye.
Mrs. Schaefer?
Aye.
Mr. Harris?
Aye.
Ms. Coco?
Aye. Right, item C, opening ceremony. Informational items. This is a meeting of the Cuyahoga Falls Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business. It is not a public community meeting, although there are opportunities for public participation. If an individual wishes to address the board regarding a topic found on the meeting agenda, the individual must complete a registration form found inside the attendance notebook and present it to the treasurer. Following the introduction of the topic by the board president, followed by board discussion, the individual will be recognized. If an individual wishes to address the board regarding a topic not found on the meeting agenda, he or she must notify the superintendent and/or board president of the topic no later than 3 business days in advance of the meeting. These individuals may share their comments during the board business portion of the agenda. In both cases, the individual will preface comments by an announcement of his or her name and address and limit comments to 3 minutes. All statements should be directed to the board president. No person may address or question board members individually. An unabridged board agenda for this meeting can be found on your electronic device. The address shown on the screen, and for your convenience, hard copies of the board agenda may be found on the table by the sign-in book. The next regularly scheduled meeting of the Cuyahoga Falls Board of Education is April 23rd, 2025 at 5:30 in the Cuyahoga Falls High School Library. And now for our Pledge of Allegiance, and welcome Mrs. Schaefer.
Please stand as you're able and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome. Our vision, Cuyahoga Falls City School District, the hub of our community, committed to a culture of caring. We innovate, we create, we personalize education for all. Our mission, every student, every day, every opportunity. The board's strategic plan goals are as follows. School safety. We aspire to have a welcoming environment that ensures that the physical and social well-being needs of every student and staff member are met. Academic growth. We aspire to have significant growth through personalized education for all students. We aspire to improve graduation rates so that our students are prepared for employment, enrollment, or enlistment. Engagement, inclusion, and diversity. We will ensure that every student has access to resources they need when they need it in order to be successful. Technology and systems integration. We aspire to create safe, secure, and efficient technology systems to support high-quality teaching, learning, and district operations.
Thank you, Mrs. Schaefer. Now on to our presentations. Our first presentation, I'd like to call up Mr. Lang for our music recognition.
Okay, I'm here tonight to recognize Noah Adkins and Aiden Stevens, both of whom were selected for participation in the OMEA All-State Jazz Band this past February. The All-State Jazz Band is an honors ensemble hosted by the Ohio Music Education Association during their professional development conference each year. To participate in this ensemble, students complete a multi-stage audition process in which they are considered against submissions from students across the state of Ohio. Due to the limited instrumentation needs of a jazz band compared to a choir, concert band, or orchestra, there are very few slots for participants each year. Only 17 students are selected from the entire state to participate each year. Noah was selected to be the lead trombone player this year, and Aiden was the only pianist selected for the 2025 ensemble. That effectively means that these two gentlemen were recognized as the best players in the state of Ohio from among this year's applicants. As part of the All-State Jazz Band, Noah and Aiden participated in a rigorous rehearsal process under the direction of nationally renowned jazz pedagogue Don Zentz. They performed a concert at the OMEA PVC for an audience made up largely of music educators from across the state, where their superior musicianship was held up as a model of what high school jazz musicians and groups should strive for. The Cuyahoga Falls Band Program is proud to recognize Noah Adkins and Aiden Stevens for their remarkable talent, dedication, and accomplishment, and for their carrying forward the tradition of musical excellence in our community. Please join me in recognizing Aiden and Noah.
We also have certificates.
Oh, there are.
I didn't do a great job of putting them in the right order.
That's okay. Nope, this one is.
Here's another one.
Oh, that's for something else. Good for you, Noah. You're winner also. Here we go. Yep.
Congratulations. And after we're done with the recognitions, just so our students don't slip out the back, because I know they like to do that in board meetings, we will be going across the hall to get pictures with the students for their recognitions. So. Next up, I'd like to call Mrs. Jen Schulman and Ms. Claire McCarter for our Scholastic Key winners.
Do we have the pictures to go? Okay, thank you. Can't talk about art without pictures. Good evening. I'm Jennifer Schulman. I'm one of the 3 art educators here at Cuyahoga Falls High School. Mrs. McCarter regrets she could not be here this evening. I am honored to be here with you to highlight the accomplishments of our talented student artists who were recognized this year in the Scholastics Art Competition. The Scholastic Art Competition was founded in 1923. The awards have fostered the creativity and talent of millions of students, including renowned alumni who have gone on to become leaders in their fields, including Ken Burns, Sylvia Plath, Andy Warhol, and more. I couldn't be more proud of our student artists representing our Black Tigers this year in this year's competition. Let's first look at a painting titled A Potted Plant. There we go. The artist Lucas Gregory shared this in their artist statement. This painting was inspired by the different statues I got to see at my local art museum and the different plants growing around my school. I really was inspired by the way the sunflowers grew around the fences near them and how it seemed to cover parts of the fence entirely. The excellent contrast of colors and the mystery of the face peeking through truly adds whimsy and mystery to this excellent painting. So congratulations, Lucas Gregory. Artist Morgan Bowe, she's not here this evening, but she brings us the king in her work, Aloha from the Past. This work shows an iconic pose from Elvis, Aloha from Hawaii performance in 1973, paired with a background inspired by Royal Victorian wallpaper. This piece emphasizes the king-like status of Elvis Presley. Morgan's attention to detail and eye for perfection is a wonder to witness in the classroom, and the results speak for themselves. So congratulations, Morgan. Artist Noah Cottrill created this glass mosaic entitled An Ant and a Trail. Noah went on to explain in his artist statement that his mosaic is depicting an ant, its antenna to detect a pheromone trail. This is one of those great moments when I got to say, and then learned from Noah about how ants leave traces of pheromones or scents to communicate with each other. They can send messages about food locations, impending dangers, and more. I love when art and science meet, and boy, did they make not only a beautiful mosaic, but one that is thought-provoking and truly as unique as the amazing artist. Congratulations, Noah. Next is artist Durlov Dahal. He's created this incredible drawing, The Snowflower. This artwork, rendered in ink, graphite, and charcoal, explores his deep appreciation for the animal kingdom. He incorporated small, subtly placed animal forms to encourage closer observation, almost like a seek and find. The central focus depicts pandas, which are his favorite animal, and he admires them for their distinctive appearance. The background was intentionally created with a hazy atmospheric quality to evoke a sense of mystery. I can't wait to discover the next mysteries in his artworks that he will create next. So, congratulations to both. have artist Ruby Smith. Ruby created this glass mosaic and clay, it's a glass and clay mosaic called The Path of Life. This is how Ruby describes her work. My piece is a depiction of the ups and downs of life. It shows a path leading into the sun, surrounded by a dark spiral containing the things we all have to deal with. This piece is meant to give you the hope for the good that is always just on the other side of the dark spiral. Ruby is not only a talented artist, she is also an athlete. I mention this because in her mindset, it is to overcome any obstacle ahead and to do it with grace, guts, and persistence. This not only defines the work, but also even the process that she used for this mosaic creation. Ruby explored uncharted territory, knowing it would take her 3 times as long as everyone else to complete. But she not only used glass, but clay pieces as well, which has never been done in my class before. And oh, she even double layered the glass, which you can kind of see in the sun in the back. So, and it was all done with style, grace, a few Band-Aids, or maybe more. It was amazing work. So congratulations, Ruby. This last work I am honored to share received a Gold Key Award. The artist is Maya Sharma. Her art medium here is embroidery. Unfortunately, she couldn't make it this evening. The title is A Walk. This is how Maya describes this work. I view embroidery as a very therapeutic process. It forces you to slow down and make every stitch with intention. With every stitch is a mark in time. This piece depicts a walk that me and my sister frequently take. A walk so frequent it almost becomes automatic, a ritual in which you're not really there fully. By choosing embroidery as the medium to portray this piece, its tedious and time-consuming nature allows me to appreciate the small, mundane moments shown. Depicting my sister in this piece holds particular significance as we approach the time in high school of increased dialogue about our uncertain futures, pushing us to in further separating paths. Being present in moments of peace and tranquility are ever more important. Thank you so much for sharing this work with us, Maya. Your thoughtful approach in your art making is stunning. You pair those with your skills to make your ideas come to life, and it's priceless. So, congratulations to Maya. Take a moment to invite you all to come see these artworks and many others in person. They will be on display at this year's All-City Art Walk. Oh wait, what's that? Oh, look here, there's a quick overview. It's on April 24th. Switch to the next one. There's a lot of, it's at 4 different locations at downtown Cuyahoga Falls. It's only 3 hours long and it's a extravaganza. There's art at all of these locations. Go ahead, next one. All right, we have visiting artists from the muralist. There's going to be a new mural on the back of the Cuyahoga Valley Arts Center, and he's going to be featured there, and you can go talk to him about the new mural that he's going to be painting this summer. Mac Love is our resident artist, sponsored by the Ohio Arts Council grant and the GAR Foundation. And so he'll be there interacting and making really cool things in the pavilion. And then we have an origami artist this year who's going to be, he's an origami artist and entertainer. So he's just going to be making origami. It's all very playful because our theme, of course, is the art of play this year. Okay, next one. All right, so, sorry, very quick. We also have a limited edition soda label designed by our middle school artists. Our poster design is going to be on a candle available at Hope Soap. We have the cosmetology group coming out. They're going to be doing face painting. The Akron Children's Museum is coming. They're going to be at the library right outside doing activities outside. We are going to do an art card. We have art card trading posts all over at every location so you can make cards and trade them with other students and adults throughout. We're And because it's the art of play, we're making giant games. The Western Reserve Hospital is sponsoring a giant operation game. So come try your hand. We're making you can see a 5-foot by 5-foot wheel for our giant kaleidoscope. So come peer into our giant kaleidoscope. We're excited to see it work. Okay, go ahead. We're also creating an enormous barrel of monkeys. There are 12 monkeys. They're being designed by every elementary school is going to have a monkey. Every middle school has a monkey. The high school has like 5 monkeys, and they'll be cascading off the Riverfront Pavilion second floor down to a giant barrel, which you can see Noah is so beautifully creating. Thank you, Noah. I think there's one more. Yes, we also have, you can visit our fortune teller, who's going to be being like a fortune automaton that you can visit and get your fortune told. And we have the public art design class is creating these cubes that turn, and you can go and turn the canvas and change the different characters of the canvas. I think that's the last one. See if there's one more. Oh, no, there isn't. Oh, okay, so we also have a display at B Love. It's a new boutique, replacing Sodia's boutique, and we have a huge guitar display where the clay and sculpture class created 11 guitars, which are hanging in the window there. So there's a lot more, and I promise it won't take very long. So please come out, enjoy the art walk, and thank you so much.
Thank you very much, and I love the preview of everything to come, and for anyone who has not been, it truly is an amazing event and more than you can do or see in 3 hours. I'm always disappointed when that 3 hours is over because I feel like I haven't got to do everything in the 3 hours, so thank you so much. Next up, we have our athletic recognition. I'd like to call up Mr. Kenny Johnson. Oh, you're ahead of me. I talked too long. Thank you.
I first of all want to congratulate all our musicians and artists. I thought that was awesome. Great work, as usual. I want to, first of all, thank the Board of Education and Dr. Selico for the opportunity to recognize the group of outstanding student athletes we have here tonight. I often tell people how fortunate I am to witness the athletes how athletes pursue and accomplish their goals and dreams. As an athletic director, there is nothing more rewarding than seeing the smiles, hearing the laughter, and even sharing in the tears and hugs that come throughout a season. These moments shared between teammates and coaches are what make high school sports so special. At this time, if I can have all the wrestlers come on up. All right, so we're missing a couple. I knew one was sick tonight, but I still want to mention everybody that earned something this year. So I'd like to begin by recognizing our wrestlers. Wrestling is one of the toughest sports out there. It demands dedication, desire, and both mental and physical toughness. All of these athletes demonstrated those qualities throughout this season. We had 1 youth wrestler and 2 middle school wrestlers qualify for the state wrestling tournament this year, which is an incredible accomplishment. Our youth wrestler this year was 6th grader Jackson Shaw. He is not able to make it here tonight, but he qualified for the state tournament, and he finished the season with a nice 17-3 record. So if we could give Jackson a big round of applause. We had 2 middle school wrestlers make the state tournament this year. 8th grader Aiden Rye. Go ahead and step forward, Aiden. Aiden finished with a dominant 36-6 record this year in middle school. And we had a fellow 8th grader, Joel Pfeiffer, who couldn't be here tonight, also make the state tournament. He wrapped up his season with an impressive 22-7 record in middle school. Wow. So let's give both of them a Our final wrestler we'd like to recognize tonight is senior Antonio Johnson. Antonio is one of the most successful wrestlers in the history of Cuyahoga Falls. This season, he capped off an incredible run with an impressive 38-9 overall record. He joined the prestigious 100-win club this year and concluded his high school career with a remarkable 135 wins and 37 losses. Antonio also set school records for most wins in a season with 45 victories. You give Antonio a big round. What a phenomenal career Antonio has had here at Cuyahoga Falls High School. His leadership, work ethic, and determination will be greatly missed. We wish him nothing but the best in the future. These are our two wrestlers here tonight, and I will give them their certificate. You guys can give them one more big round of applause. Is there any more of these, or is this all there is?
They should all be there. I took everything out of the folder. Are they mixed in with others
Oh, yeah, they're
by
right.
chance? Okay. I tried to crisscross them by sport, but
Let's see. Here we go.
got mixed up.
Still fine. There you go. Congratulations.
Mr. Johnson, there's pins for them as well. Yes.
Good job, guys.
Next, I'd like to recognize a group of athletes who earned very distinguished honors during the fall season. If Emma Johnson, Noah Atkins, and Wyatt Albrecht could all come up. These three seniors led their respective teams this fall with excellence and dedication. We'll start first with Noah Atkins. Noah, step forward. Noah was also up here already, so we know Noah very well. Noah was named first team All-Suburban League for the second year in a row. He led his team in goals. He served as a team captain for the past 2 seasons. This year, he was also named first team All-District selection, the first boys soccer All-District honoree since 2019. Under his leadership, the team advanced to the first district title game since 1985, and he did all this while maintaining a 4.5 GPA.
Wow.
Our next athlete is senior Emma Johnson. Like Noah, Emma was a first team All-Suburban League for the second straight year. She also finished third in goals on her team. The only thing different with that is Emma didn't play one play of offense. She was a defender, so she was still third on the team in goals from the defensive position, which was impressive. Emma was also a 2-year captain, earned first team All-District honors this season. This is the first such recognition for girls soccer in the last 15 years. Emma balanced all this with athletic success with a stellar 4.4 GPA. And finally, Wyatt Albrecht. Wyatt was a standout leader for our cross-country team this fall. He was first team All-Suburban League for the second straight year. He placed 4th in the district meet, 11th in the regional meet. He was a state qualifier this year for Division I, and honestly, he was one of the best runners in Division I. He didn't have his best meet, he'll tell you that, at the state meet, and he still was in the top 40 in the state in Division I. He's one of the best cross-country runners we've ever had here. He's going to go on and run cross or track or both at Bowling Green, so we're very excited for him. Wyatt will also be an automatic qualifier into our Athletic Hall of Fame. He earned 12 varsity letters throughout his high school career. That's if he doesn't quit track before Saturday. So I think he's safe with that. But let's give a big round of applause to these three seniors. They set the bar high. Let me find their certificates.
One thing that Mr. Johnson neglected to mention is that the young lady standing next to him is his daughter.
And luckily, she looks like her mom.
His wife.
Whose mom is also a teacher in our district. Lots of connections here.
My former student. I knew she
Lucas, you're gonna start. Wyatt, you're gonna start. recognize these certificates somehow differently next time.
We blame Chris Jones.
Oh.
I never went through this. You my right hand man.
Hand it to me, I'll put them in order.
And last but definitely not least is our boys bowling team. If they could come up here right now. Well, half our boys bowling team, I should say. That's good? All right. So we're incredibly proud to recognize the accomplishments of our boys bowling team this year. This team made history this year by going to the state tournament and placing 9th in the state, one of the best finishes we've had here in the history of Cuyahoga Falls in bowling. The team is led by a talented group of bowlers. Here today we have Justin Wagner, Riley Roxbury, and Jonathan Roush. But I want to also mention the rest of the team that may not have been able to be here tonight. Adam Walters, Lucas Hummel, David Mitchell, Isaiah Lutz, and Robert Rome. This team accomplished so many things, not just to get to state, but they had a very successful regular season. They won the postseason Suburban League tournament. They placed 2nd at sectionals, 5th at the district championship, and then 9th in the state. And how the state meet works, the top 16 teams in the state go to the state tournament. They bowl 3 games. 3 regular games, and they bowl 5 Baker games. A Baker game, if you're not familiar, is every 5 kids bowl a frame. So each kid gets to bowl 2 frames in total, but if you bowl the first frame, you don't bowl again until the 6th frame. Okay, so that's how Baker works. The top 8 teams then go to a Baker format, and we missed 8th place by 11 pins. So we were right there, and if we get to the Baker format, there's no doubt in my mind we're probably state champs. So we were right there. We were definitely one of the best teams in the state all year round. We bowl in one of the best conferences in the state of Ohio. We didn't even win our conference, and we were the 9th best team in the state. But what we can say is no other team from our conference got to the state tournament, and we did. So we bowled well when we needed to. This season was a celebration of teamwork, passion, and perseverance. We are also proud of you and everything you guys accomplished. So thank you, guys. Yep. Want another pen? You get one no matter what. If you get 4 of these, you're in good shape. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Congratulations to all of our musicians and artists and athletes that are here tonight. Before we go over to do some photo ops, I'd like to call up Mr. Gomez. He has an award that he would like to give as well and present.
Across the state of Ohio, there's approximately 3,400 school board members. Most are in their 1st or 2nd term. We have one school board member who this year is marking her, she's in her 3rd term and marking her decade of service. And last week we had a regional celebration, and she was not able to attend, so I'd like to call up Patty White. We want to recognize Patty for serving this year a whole decade on the Cuyahoga Falls School Board with the certificate and your 10-year service pin.
10 years. Guys.
You wouldn't have come if we told you.
Right.
Thank you.
And I'm going to embarrass Mr. Gomez for a second because
That's what I
he's not going to call himself up or go up, but Mr. Gomez received the Master Board Member Award at last week as well. And I would just like to congratulate Mr. Gomez. And do you want to describe a little bit everything you've had to do to get this?
You have to get, there's 4 components to it: service, training, aptitude, and recognition. You have to get them all within 3 years. And this year, only 17 school board members in the state of Ohio out of 3,400 achieved recognition.
I'd like to give Mr. Gomez. The fact that he was one of the only 17 to get this award, and everything that goes into getting this just shows his dedication to this district and to our students, and continuing to learn and educate himself to be the best board member and previous president, now vice president for our district. So thank you very much, Mr. Gomez. All right. And with that, if everyone would like to make their way across the hall to the cafeteria that received an award, we're going to do a few pictures. Everyone does not have to stay for the rest of the board meeting. If you want to come back, we welcome you to do so.
School board spotlight.
Oh, goody.
Morning, Bex.
I know. Very surprised. Well, of course, that's really something. That's very good.
The problem is when you take a picture, you can't see any of this because it's white on screen. Maybe we'll have to.
Yeah, or something, yeah.
I love how he left all these boards for me to clean up. Yes, we did all this, right?
Board member Dennis went to start stage today to
Do what?
trying to sell him on attending.
Oh.
And I said, if you attend, I said, did you enroll? He said, I did.
I didn't see there, but I thought that we could, my understanding was that was that.
Oh, okay.
and she's like, and she comes out, she's like, it's like, oh no, I'm back. You still answer your phone. I'm saving up for when I see you. Right, I was gonna say, right. Do her a favor. Yeah, because the phone, like, that counts against it, right?
I felt guilty because I had to pick up a kid that didn't show up, and I had an alarm, and Aaron called, and it wasn't like on the Apple Play. I was like, Aaron, like, I'll call when I get in, and I go to, and I pull up, right, it says road closed. I get to the school, there's like they're digging out the road in front of the school. There's like a city guy walking in, and I'm like, oh, that's probably why I called. There's no water, I have no water. Emergency. I mean, it was like a 2-minute long thing.
So she's like, the neighbors have a key. And the neighbors have a key if she wants to go there. I'm not getting a key. I wasn't getting your kid. Like, I'll knock on the door and go road it, but like, I'm sure it's not my job description. Go in the house and take, I know. That's creepy. I know. Maybe 20 years ago, we're all in there, right? Like, yeah, that's the volunteer.
Don't forget we have ES today.
The what?
ES, executive session tonight. Executive session.
Yeah, two. Right?
My towel rack, I have it's a otter, and he has a towel, and he's like shaking it off, and there's water.
It's always in my stomach.
Hope you get me dinner.
And then I have another pack that you can see from the toilet.
Yeah, Bedford. I know, sometimes. I knew it because that's where I added it. That's where I added it. How many did we put there? 2?
We had 3.
Do you want to mention that under your comments?
Especially that was happening. Yeah, we're having.
Or do you want to just give it to the superintendent?
Yeah, I don't know.
They gave us
I'm
this
not good at
too.
that.
Okay.
I mean, we gave one to the students at the thing, but then they gave us another one.
Okay, we'll give it to them, yes.
So, yeah,
I think I have another.
I have another one.
Item E is Treasurer CFO's Business Consent Agenda.
In the absence of Ms. Stoycoy, I would recommend that the Board of Education approves all items listed in the Treasurer CFO's Business Consent Agenda.
So,
Second.
Discussion over,
She
consent
has the
agenda.
meeting minutes from our last meeting, the donations, which are extensive. The Causey Public Finance Arbitrage Rebate Services, and the amended appropriations. And then, if I could, she gave us information, explaining the arbitrage, and I'd like to read that.
Thank you.
Just for our purposes and also for clarity to the community. So bear with me for a moment. The district issued tax exempt bonds in May 2021 to fund the current project facilities. At the time, interest rates were at historic lows, resulting in favorable long-term financing terms. Following the debt issuance, investment rates steadily increased, allowing the bond proceeds to be invested at higher yields until they were needed for construction. Under IRS regulations, the district must adhere to strict guidelines to ensure compliance with arbitrage restrictions on tax-exempt bonds. These rules limit the amount of interest that can be earned on bond proceeds during the construction period. To ensure compliance, the district will engage quasi-public finance to perform an arbitrage rebate calculation and determine whether the district has any potential arbitrage tax liability.
Thank you, Mr. Gomez. Any questions or comments? I would just like to say thank you to our community for all of their donations that we continue to get, and they are so generous over and over and over again, so thank you to our community. Mr. Gomez, would you like to call the roll, please?
Ms. White?
Aye.
Mrs. Schaefer?
Aye.
Mr. Harris?
Aye.
Ms. Coco?
Aye.
Mr. Gomez? Aye.
Item F is Treasurer CFO's business. Ms. Stokely is not with us this evening. So we will go on to item G, Superintendent CEO's business consent agenda. Dr.
Thank you.
Selico? Sure.
Thank you. Ms. Coco, it is recommended that the Board of Education approves all items listed in the superintendent's consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, please.
Yes.
Thank you.
Number of personnel items this evening, many of which are routine. We have some transportation positions, some student workers, coaches, event workers, volunteers, some leaves of absences. We have 2 resignations. And then we do have one recommendation that is for our school psychologist, and she is here with us this evening. Some of you may have seen her. Her name is Miss Isabella Warner, and she goes by Bella, I've learned. Warner, we're making the recommendation that she join our Black Tiger family in the role of school psychologist with her focus at preschool. Miss Warner earned a Bachelor's of Arts with a major in psychology and minor in Spanish from Kent State University. She continued her education at Kent State and earned a Master's of Education in School Psychology and is currently finishing her degree as an educational specialist, also in school psychology. Ms. Warner is finishing her internship at Talmadge City Schools this year and is looking forward to getting started at the fall. So that is our recommendation this evening. I also would like to point out that we have a number of administrative contracts on the agenda this evening, and some of which our administrators are here, so for your consideration as well there. The service agreement for the Asian Services in Action is just a renewal for our translation services. We also have 2, one literacy and one math professional development, both related to professional development through Kent State, and I'm gonna have, is it Kent? And I'm gonna have Ms. Hausman talk a little bit about that.
Thank you. So Dr. Wilfon will continue in her role if the board would approve so. She will continue to focus support at the secondary level a little bit more because we do have our 3 literacy coaches at the elementary level, but she will be supporting at the elementary level through some staff meeting time and some coaching with the principals to continue. So we reduced her amount that she's supporting us so that we can test the waters with Dr. Heron and see if we can find some just-in-time support and strategies like Dr. Wilfon has been doing at the math level. So we wanted to try that relationship and see how it works. And so we figured we couldn't really be above the cost of Dr. Wilfon, so we tried to stay lower. So it's just a hair less than what we invested in for this year with both of them. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hausman. And then we have a memorandum of understanding for Cuyahoga Community College, and this is from what I understand, the first time that we'll have a BOLIC student who's planning on taking the CCP courses through Tri-C this summer and possibly next year. So we are excited about that and proud of that student as well. And then lastly, we have a proposal for Gandy and Associates, and Mr. Bagatti, if you don't mind telling us a little bit about that one.
Yeah, the first is an initial inspection we have to have at our new board office, that Gandy will do, and there's a first charge for that. And after that, it will fall into our six-month inspection and 3-year re-inspection. It'll fall into that, and it'll just be a one lump sum charge for all of our facilities. Well, we did some checking, and they sent me some information that even though it's not used as a school building, because it being part of a school administrative office, or is the administrative office, that this is also by O'Hara law, we have to do this inspection. We certainly do not want to leave it up to what the landlord may or may not have done, because we're responsible by law for this. So that's number one on there. And number two is the cost for Candy to maintain all of the files throughout the entire district on their website in an electronic form. And that really helps us when we are audited by the city, or not the city, but the county or the federal lawmakers. They will have everything on their website, and what's nice about it is we just finished an abatement project at Price for the 2 rooms. You can see how thick this is. This is just for 2 rooms at Price. So the state may come in, or federal may come in and say, hey, let me see all your records. So that cost will be able to keep all those records for us, and if need be, present them to us if we get called for an audit.
That's all that I have.
Thank you, Dr. Selica. Any questions or discussions?
Yeah, I'm excited that we're continuing with Dr. Wilfong and the literacy piece, but also adding the math piece, because I do think that's a needed area of focus. So I appreciate that. Thank you, Ms. Salzman, and welcome to Ms. Warner. We're excited for that work to continue at the preschool level. And then with Gandy and Associates, for the HERA piece, I shared this with Dr. Sucko. I was disappointed that we didn't know this at the time when we were engaging in the lease, because we could have, and it's just concerning that what we don't know as we've gone into that, and we're discovering this, so I hope there aren't additional surprises to come.
Mr. Gomez, call the roll, please.
Mrs. Schaefer?
Aye.
Mr. Harris?
Aye.
Ms. Coco?
Aye.
Mr. Gomez? Aye. Ms. White?
Aye.
Welcome.
And congratulations to
And
our administrators as well.
To our other staff that are here as well. Mrs. Murphy, I told you that you probably would get to show up to work tomorrow, so you do get to show up to work tomorrow. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You have bad eyes. You have bad eyes.
I do. I can't see long distances, and I have glasses that I
Yes.
put on. I apologize.
No, you legitimately have bad eyes.
I
It's
do.
fair.
I do. Information consent. Apologies for that. Well, if she's listening, you get to show up. Okay.
Are you gonna make her talk?
Yes.
Oh, sure, yes.
Yes. Please.
Bella,
It's
would you like to come
tradition.
forward?
It's
You have to come to the
tradition.
microphone.
I was like, she's made everyone up. Yeah, you always
Just
make
really
them come up,
comfortable.
Dr. Salka.
I do, but I was still,
Okay.
I wasn't sure where we were at with
Okay.
things. I'm sorry.
It's no different than
I don't want to
preschool.
overstep.
Hi everyone, I'm Bella Warner. I just wanted to say thank you so much for the opportunity, and I'm happy to be here. And I'm excited for the new preschool program and to be a part of it. So I've had a great experience with everyone I've met so far, so thank you so much, and I'm excited for the new experience.
Congratulations, and if you need help getting out of the building without walking around it in the cold, someone can guide you to the best exit. Yes, we've all done it many times.
Other than me.
Okay.
That's all right. I taught here for like 20 years, and I couldn't figure out where
Mr. Smith's the principal. You've got 2 assistant principals. Mr. Woodard knows every building.
Yeah,
So
he does.
you've got great people here that can help you.
It is a very large building. I was totally opposite, wrong side.
Yeah.
You'll get it.
And Dr. Selick, your comments?
No, yeah.
I'm
One
sorry.
other item before my
Yes,
comments.
sorry.
Okay.
H, subject one is the service agreement.
Yes, so it's recommended that the Board of Education approves the agreement between S3 Technologies and the Cuyahoga Falls City School District.
So moved.
Second.
I'll ask Mr. Hutch or Mr. Begatti, one or the other, to kind of explain here.
So this is a proposal for adding security cameras to cover the new parking lot of the operations center. So this is 2 security cameras. They're a little better security camera than we would normally use because they're covering a longer distance. We got did three quotes to look at options. First option was nearly a little over $15,000. That would have involved trenching through the pavement and putting the cameras on light poles over in that parking lot. That would have been really optimal. It would have given us license plate level recognition, but that felt a little excessive for the budget situation that we find ourselves in. So a scaled back option was 2 cameras, but with a better quality lens for longer focal distance to view both the parking lot and the parking lot in general and the entrance in particular. So two different planes of view. We took that concept and then shopped it again to a company called S3 Technologies, who's local, just down in Akron. They were able to beat we had a price of $8,700. We got that dropped down to $71.73. So that's the lowest price. We waited to see. We knew we needed security cameras on that parking lot, but if we were going to have a third-party patron in that lot, we wanted a higher quality camera because of any potential need for better investigation. And in that lease agreement was a holdback for $4,000 to help offset the cost of that project.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions?
You were starting to open your
Yeah,
mouth.
sorry. Originally, I was concerned with the cost, so here's my thought process. It may be convoluted, so stay with me. So originally, I was concerned with the cost. At first, I thought it was, it's gonna be $4,000 for cameras. Great, that was in the contract. It'll be covered, awesome. And then when I read the contract, I was like, oh, that's a little more than $4,000. And I thought, well, maybe we shouldn't spend this kind of money right now because of the financial situation. Let's be conservative. And then you said you had several estimates and like, this is kind of like a good solution. And then I thought, wow, let's think about all those tariffs that are happening right now. If we wait to put these cameras in later, they're probably gonna cost twice as much in 3 months if we wait. So I've really run the gamut on this. Because they're needed. I mean, are they an emergency? Do we need these cameras? Is it an emergent situation? Probably not, but I think we do need them. And I think we've experienced, a couple times now, price jumps with the building project and such that I have PTSD with that, so, that's my thinking, sorry. Thank you for playing along.
I support having cameras there. My concern is that we went with a more expensive camera because we had the supplement, so it seems like we're spending more money because we have the supplemental money, whereas if it was just our money, we probably wouldn't have. And with our budget situation, I feel like as the board, we need to watch every dollar right now. And I think this is the opportunity to maybe say, if we can get it down a little bit more and save some of our dollars and still spend the money we're getting from the company, that would make me feel more comfortable, because we're asking everyone in budget season right now to make 10% cuts through their budgets, and then it seems like this is something that we do vote on as the board, and it seems like we're not, from my perspective, just speaking for me, because it's all I can speak for, that we're not living that out, and when we have the opportunity to do so. So I would like to see what a cheaper option would be, because I think if we were just spending our own money, we would be going that cheaper route if we didn't have that 4,000. And I would like us to be living that mentality out fully, given the budgetary constraints that we find ourselves in.
I hear you. Mr. Hutch, are you at all able to speak on the next you said there was other, I'm sorry to put you on the spot like that.
It's okay, I was expecting some questions, so I came with
Okay.
some ideas for some answers. My position is what's specified is what we should do, but I understand the financial situation.
Right.
In the most recent proposal, the cameras, I can't guarantee the vendor will install at these prices, but I can break it down for you. One camera, the cost for the first camera is $4,165. The cost for the second camera is $3,000. So if we went with a one camera solution, we could stay right about within that landlord allocate, or at least allocated amount. My fear is that we would have paid that either way with one camera for our own parking lot. As your security person, I want better, knowing that we're opening that parking lot to potentially more traffic. I would like better eyes on it, but I certainly appreciate the budget situation we're in as well, and we'll defer to anyone's recommendation.
If we had one camera, and then we decided at a later time to put a second camera, is that something that you could do?
We can always do that. It's less efficient in terms of cost because you're bringing out a crew, so you're increasing labor significantly.
Right.
Labor is a significant part of labor is at least 50% of the cost of the project.
I looked at the estimate. At the discount for the second camera, which,
We can always add cameras. I mean, we have this already budgeted in the general fund for this year for security cameras.
was there a third estimate? I thought you said there was
There are
the
actually-
15,000
I
and then
didn't
this
give
one?
you that one. I didn't even consider that one. That was, when I had initial companies, I was like, give us the gold standard.
Uh-huh.
Whoa, okay, give us something a little less than that.
Right.
Yeah, because the
I
gold
can
standard
appreciate that.
was gold. And then I still wanted to shop. I wanted to make sure we got an additional quote and was able to get that price down another $1,500 or so.
Was that, they were, all from the same company, or are they from different companies?
Two were from Southeast Security, one was from S3 Technologies.
Have we used Southeast? I feel like
We use Southeast Security for a lot of, they're
Okay.
the main contractor in our entire new construction.
Yeah.
They do a lot of work for us, but I think it's also important to keep people sharp with competitive quoting.
So we had in the budget to do a camera, and to
I
do
have
one
I have
camera,
general
and
fund
then
allocated.
proactively knowing that we would probably want two, that's when written in the lease was a cost for camera.
So the more I started talking, when you were talking.
So, we already had budgeted and knew that we were going to need the camera over there from our funds, but then as we did the lease proactively, the money, the cost, that $4,000 was part of that, knowing that we probably need two.
I budget for cameras anyway, so I knew all along we'd have a pocket of money for cameras. I anticipate camera replacements and augmentations every year, so this already fit within that earmark that I had. I can't recall the timing of when budget season was versus when these discussions began.
Thank you.
It's, and the money that was allotted from, excuse me, from Missing Mountain, it's like literally almost, well, it's a little more than half of what it was going to cost. Was that like an intentional amount, or was that just kind of accident? I mean,
I don't know that it was.
happenstance. It's interesting.
I'm not sure.
Go ahead.
I have a question, because when I asked my questions, I was told that the additional cost was because of the upgraded cameras, but tonight we're being told that the additional cost is because of the additional camera.
Upgraded security solution. I'm looking at them as a package.
But aren't you also saying that the cameras are upgraded?
What I'm saying is those are a higher quality camera that we would generally use because no matter what, their focal length is longer. It's a very long span because we don't want to trench under the concrete and into the parking lot. We have a much longer focal length to go from the building all the way to the far end of the parking lot. It's a similar camera to one of the ones we use in the high school parking lot. It's a longer throw because the coverage distance is greater.
So it's a longer focal length, and then they are also in different directions.
Any other questions? Okay. Thank you, Mr.
Does
Hook.
does this cover, but we have one that covers the bus parking lot.
We already do.
And how long has the parking lot been open for?
It's been open since about August, since August.
We good? Any more discussion? Mr. Gomez?
Mrs. Schaefer?
I don't have, oh, are we voting?
Yeah.
Oh, I think they asked me if I had more questions. I'm gonna vote yes.
Mr. Harris?
Aye.
Ms. Coco?
Aye.
Mr. Gomez? No. Ms. White?
Aye.
Thank you. Right, and now for your superintendent's EO's comments. Dr. Sullivan.
Thank you. Well, first off, nice to see everyone again. Glad to be back in the chair. Most moments since I've been back. Thank you. I'm happy to be back. I was getting a little anxious and hard to sit on the sidelines for 5 weeks, but happy to be back. Appreciative of the board and Mrs. Hausman and the team for keeping things going. I wasn't worried one bit while being out and resting, so appreciate it and appreciate the well wishes and everybody trying to get me to not work. So, but that's hard to do. I want to just also mention a couple more thank yous. I want to point out a couple things that we heard about. We are about to hear a little bit more about preschool and our team of administrators that have been working very, very hard on the preschool program in general. So many of them are here this evening, members of that team. Just really, I know they've been working very hard. We've been joking because I've pushed the team quite a bit to learn and to expand their knowledge of something new that was new to many of them, which is preschool. So I told them all they'd be thanking me, but I'm not sure if we'll get those thank yous. But nonetheless, I'm appreciative of the work that they've done. As well as want to thank Mrs. Hausman and the team again for the literacy grant that we submitted yesterday. I had to hit by 5 o'clock the official button. I have listened to Mrs. Hausman talk about this grant for months, and it seems, or complain, they're synonymous. Yes, that they have been working on this grant for months, literally, and it's over 1.3 million? 1.2 million dollars that we're going for. It is highly competitive. We're in a lower tier. We're not as identified as a kind of a good bad thing. We're not identified as a higher need as some of the others. But I appreciate their efforts, and if it doesn't work out, we have a very a lot of information to submit for subsequent grants, because I'm sure they'll be coming relative to literacy. So I want to just thank everybody for their work on that. We mentioned, I know we've talked about this, the musical is this weekend. It's the Music Man, so looking forward to that. And I attended the PTSO vendor fair. That was officially my first thing back on Saturday, and that was just, my goodness, over 90 vendors. It was full. I saw Mrs. Colich there, and I saw others there. And it was just amazing. My brother-in-law actually had a stand himself there. So it was just, I want to give kudos to the PTSO and the work that they've done, and Susan Keller. So congratulations to the work that they've done, and it was really, really well done. And then same day, we had a math tournament for our gifted 3 through 5, 3rd through 5th graders. I think maybe that was our first time doing that, or at least in a long time, I think. So I was happy about that, and thankful to Tammy Belko and the work that she did to make that happen. So other than that, just getting back in day 3. There's plenty to work on in many other arenas, but I will stop there. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Selico, and welcome back.
Thank you.
Very happy to have you, and
Does it feel like day 7 already?
Oh my goodness. I have to work on my patience, and so many things have been thrown at me already that are really enraging me. That we'll probably talk about later.
You're
but
welcome.
I'm trying to get back to my a little bit of meditation here, but
Welcome.
Mrs. Hausman did a phenomenal
I
job
bet
in
she
your
did.
stead.
Don't
Yeah,
doubt
we're
that.
very grateful to have
We
had
were
you.
very,
here.
very grateful for her.
Muscle memory.
She did take a few liberties with the tigers while you
I
were
did. I was listening for a while on the first one, or whatever it was. Whenever you mentioned my name, I heard it. Then I had to go. Emergency in the house.
Thank you. Item I is board business. Up first is public hearing, reemployment of an STRS retiree. Pursuant to RC 3307.353, the Board of Education will hold a public hearing to allow the public to provide input regarding the rehiring of Jody Hausman as Assistant Superintendent following her retirement as Assistant Superintendent.
So moved.
No, we
Oh,
don't need a
sorry.
Oh, we don't need a
I
motion.
need to
Okay.
go to-
I'm trying to read.
You just
No.
ask if
Okay, we
anyone
don't need
has any comments.
Do you have any comments?
Not us,
Middle?
the public, it's for the
Public
public.
have any comments? Here. Thank you. Item 2, it is recommended that the Board of Education adopts the handbook for the Cuyahoga Falls Preschool for the 2025-2026 school year.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion or comments? Questions? Right, Mr. Gomez, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Harris?
Aye.
Ms. Coco?
Aye.
Mr. Gomez, aye. Ms. White?
Aye.
Mrs. Schaefer?
Aye.
Thank you. Item 3 is board policy amendment. And we discussed this a little bit before. Item 3 and item 4 go together. So I'm going to read something and then I'll do the recommendation on the 3.
You can't read it
So-
until you make the recommendation, there's a first and second. Cause the item's not before the board until there's a first and second on the recommendation.
Okay, I was just going to do comments, not the actual policy.
Yeah. This has a recommendation, so you have to read this and get a first and second, and then you can comment.
It is recommended that the Board of Education amends board policy BFF so that the board's action of suspension of a policy does not terminate at the next meeting of the board, but rather that the suspended policy remains suspended until further notice of reinstatement or amendment by the board. And that the board be permitted to suspend a policy even when the board is not taking action contrary to the policy. It is further recommended that the amended policy be adopted at this meeting to address emergency conditions or special events.
So moved.
Second.
For discussion, for 3 and 4, the reason for this is because to suspend rather than to repeal and rescind policies, the board also needs to amend the policy BFF, suspension of policies, so that the suspension of these policies does not terminate at the next meeting of the board. And it indicates that the board is permitted to suspend a policy even when the board is not taking action contrary to the policy. The board is permitted to have an amended policy be adopted at the first meeting if it is presented to address emergency conditions or special events. This would, any discussion with that? This would fall under that, special events due to our timeline that has been given to us by the ODEW.
Well, oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Ms. White.
Oh, go ahead.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think the concern was that, usually when we're amending a policy, we would have the policy listed, and we would have the policy in front of us with the, and then we would have a policy change suggested that we could see what we're amending.
So I can answer that because one, I did not know that that was an issue, and if I would have, I'm sorry if I missed that, I would have provided that. But the attorney that we worked with on this is not one that typically does our resolutions, so this has been done in other places, and I just
So this is a
assumed-
resolution?
I'm sorry?
Or a board, is this a resolution or is this amending a policy?
This is an action, it's not a resolution.
It's an amendment.
Yeah,
Okay.
so, so I know that they've done this in other places, so I just followed our attorney's lead.
I
But
just
if I
want it to
knew
be
that was an
done-
issue, I would provided it.
You know, because these are some issues that I just want it to be done correctly because
Well, I can
I
show-
like getting funding from
Sure.
the federal government.
Right.
Yeah,
So,
this,
I make sure all of our Ts are crossed and our Is are dotted.
I mean, I feel confident after talking it out a little bit more, even as early as this, or as late as this morning, that our attorneys have collaborated, because other districts are following suit or have already done this. That it has been well vetted as a process, so I feel comfortable in recommending this approach to you.
But correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Gomez, the problem wasn't what the action is, it's how we're doing the action in actual policy, how it's being presented in the meeting.
Yeah, this is our current policy, BFF, and if we, which, I mean, I guess is kind of funny that that's the policy.
I
but
know, I keep saying best friends.
But ultimately, if this amendment passes, nobody on this board knows what this policy is gonna read the moment it passes. Mr. Jones, who updates our policy for OSBA, won't know what the policy reads to send it to OSBA to get it updated. So we don't know what the policy actually is gonna say. We know I guess we know what we're trying to make it do,
We want the exact verbiage.
but we don't know what the policy's gonna say. Nobody knows what this will look like if we vote on that.
We need to see the actual verbiage of the actual policy before we can actually vote on it. We can't vote on potential content, we have to see what it actually says.
You can vote on it, according to our attorneys. This is the recommended approach by them, and, you know, again, I'm not an attorney, so I have to trust that what they're telling us is right. I understand your position of not seeing the policy itself. I don't even know if there is a policy revision, and I didn't even think really to ask that question, if they're going to be revising the policy itself.
This would be an amendment.
Which is a policy revision.
An amendment to the policy?
Anytime we change the policy, any policy, we're amending
amended,
it, which
right.
is a revision to the same thing. So like when a law changes and we have to amend a policy, that's a revision, it's an amendment. They're the same word functionally.
And I interrupted you, Ms. White. so-
No, it's okay.
What were you gonna say?
Well, whatever. How do I put this nicely? I'm not sure. This is,
We're all friends here.
I think it's really stupid law. Let me put it that way. It's just a dumb thing.
It is
When
dumb.
you think of,
Well, that'll,
It's not a
Yeah.
law.
well, whatever.
And-
I'm sorry, but it's dumb.
that's, the
Can I-
whole, sorry.
Okay. First of all, diversity, what does that mean? Well, I took out my Webster's College dictionary, you know, that I still have the hard copy. I looked it up. It means variety. Now look at our community. In our community, do we not have variety? I believe we do. We have tall people, we have short people, we have heavy people, we have skinny people. We have all kinds of people in our district. It's called variety. That's all diversity is. What about equity? Equity is fairness. That's what it means, to be fair. So if somebody's short like me, maybe I need a lower desk. If somebody's tall, maybe they need a higher desk or a higher seat. Again, it's totally stupid. What is inclusion? To bring in, to make people part of things. I don't understand what is wrong with this. Well, yeah, basically I know what it's about. I think we all know what it's about, but I don't know how to say it. It's just so dumb. Inclusion is to have everybody included in an activity. Isn't that what we want? Isn't that what we do in our community? And I believe it is. I believe that's what we do, and this is what we should do. And whatever this thing is, it's just plain dumb and ignorant. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. White.
I'm
Thank you,
sorry.
Ms. White. I'm going to just read a little bit specifically. I think that we all know why we're having this discussion now, and the reason that this is on this agenda now is, and why we're doing the board policy amendment that we're discussing followed by item 4 is, I'm just going to read that there's been a recent executive orders issued by President Trump that relate to the K-12 education and impact our school system. One of the executive orders concerns, just as Ms. White was stating, diversity, equity, and inclusion, otherwise referred to as DEI. The federal government is now restricting DEI efforts by K-12 schools, and if schools do not comply, they face potential loss of federal funding. Essentially, schools have been directed to eliminate race-based decision-making, founded upon the federal government's new perspective that DEI programs or initiatives are motivated by race and thus violate Title VI. Furthermore, recently on April 3rd, and that's what brings us to this meeting specifically, the U.S. Department of Education sent a memo to the state education agencies, and they directed the state agencies to obtain signed certifications from school districts acknowledging that they will comply with the department's interpretation of Title VI related to DEI. On April 7th of 2025, the Ohio Department of Education and Workforce officially requested that each public school district sign the certification by April 18th, which would be in between this board meeting and our next scheduled board meeting. ODEW itself is also required to sign. Per the certification, schools must certify compliance with their anti-discrimination obligations in order to continue receiving federal finance assistance. Essentially, no DEI programs, policies, or initiatives. Because federal funding flows through state education agencies like ODEW, there is a real expectation that ODEW will not distribute federal funds to schools that do not sign the certification by April 18th. And in order to sign the certification, school districts must take concerted steps to ensure that they're complying with the department's current view of Title VI and DEI. In light of this unsettled climate and risks to federal funding, we need to ensure that our district does not lose our federal funding and that that currently supports our programs for our students. So that is what brings us here to this specific meeting and why it's kind of hard to talk about 3 without 4 here. Because number 4 is the board policy suspension, which is not a rescission of our policy. It would be suspended to give us time to be able to, as a board and our policy committee, to be able to do what we need to do to stay in compliance with the law, but also support our mission and vision, which is for every one of our students every day to have every opportunity in this district. And that is what we live by. That is what we make decisions by. And that will not waver. But that is what is bringing us to this discussion this evening, is because of that timeline. And it is where we are. So I guess back to item 3, our board policy amendment.
Let me ask this. Can I make a motion to table that item number 3 so that we speak of number 4 and then come back to number 3?
But I don't believe that we could vote on number 3 without, or number 4 without.
That's right.
We can't move ahead with
Yeah.
number 4 until we do number 3.
You could table number 4 and then go back to number 3.
This,
I'm just trying to keep it, mean,
I
it's up to you
know, I
guys,
know.
I don't.
I know, it's just blackmail, let's face it.
Well-
It's just blackmail, in a way. I'm sorry, that's how I feel.
My comment,
Just wanna
And-
keep it legal.
so my comment is on number 3, if we don't
Taking away
come,
local control.
if we don't come to an agreement on how to do number 3 correctly and to vote on that amendment, then we cannot do number 4 this evening, and my recommendation at that point would be we would have to have another board meeting within this time. Yes, Mr. Gomez.
I want to respond to the statement you read, because it says essentially no DEI programs or initiatives, and that's not true. Nothing in what the executive order and then the continued guidance has come out from the Department of Education, the frequently asked questions. That's not actually reflected in that executive order at all. It never once says that. It says illegal DEI, which is based off the Students for Fair Admission versus Harvard ruling. And it's very specific when you read all of those documents that they're only attacking race, which again is an awful thing to do. But they're not coming after all DEI programs. So we need to be very clear about what we can do and what we can't do. We are allowed to have DEI programs. We are allowed to have a DEI policy. What we cannot do is discriminate based on race and have racially based motivated programs. That is what we cannot do. That is what the executive order said. That is what the frequently asked questions said. And that is what this Title VI certification letter is asking us to certify. It never says that we can't have any DEI programs. And so I want us to be very clear that that is not what the federal government is asking us to do at this time. We know that the state of Ohio is passing laws potentially to make us not have any DEI in our schools. And if that happens, then we can't do it. But as of right now, we can have diversity, equity, inclusion, and our policy includes belonging in our schools. We can't have race-based things. So my question to administration is, what race-based activities do we have in our schools that violate the current Title VI provisions that we need to address so that you can sign the certification to ODEW that they can pass on? Because that's what we need to address as a Board of Education, because I certainly don't want your licensure to be at risk, but multiple times that has come out, and that's what it says. It's Students for Fair Admissions versus Harvard. And I read that court case as well. So I want to be compliant, and I don't want to put your licensure at risk, but I'm not going farther than we have to.
We have been advised at this point not to sign anything, because tomorrow at 4 o'clock, they're hoping that there's going to be a court ruling, because the NEA filed suit out of New Jersey, I believe, and they have asked the courts to rule by 4 o'clock tomorrow. What that means is we should, according to every law firm that keeps blowing up my email, that we are going to wait to see if that will shed more light on this, whether we have to or not have to sign it. The advice now has been given, wait till last minute to sign this, because we're not sure whether or not it's going to stick. The other part that I want to add that we've been told repeatedly is that it's special treatment for one race over another. So if there is hiring practices, if there's a scholarship, if there's a prize given, if there's a special event held for only one race, you can't do it. It's got to be open to all. So there are several examples that we've got to think about, because we do many things for our EL students, for example. We were talking about scholarships. I know in my previous places there might have been scholarships given to certain minority groups. We were going to look into that a little bit. I don't know that that is the case here. Hiring practices, I've checked with HR on that. So those are the things that we've got to really scrutinize. But yes, there is the state to contend with, and there's the federal. The federal right now is talking race. The state is talking all of it, pretty much. So, but the reason, again, while we're here tonight at this, juncture is because if we sign this, the fear is, again, I wanna remind us that this went into effect February 25th, where it said we cannot have, DEI, and I would agree with Mr. Gomez in the one regard that I've yet to see anything that satisfies my definition of what they even mean by DEI, because frankly, I don't think our legislators know what that
I
means.
don't either.
And what illegal DEI is versus DEI, I'm not quite sure, and I would love to know that. But we're not getting those answers, and we're not getting any specificity, so what they're doing is they're creating a lot of vagueness, and they're doing it intentionally, in my opinion, because they want people to be confused, and they want us to just say, okay, then everything's off the table. And some districts are doing that. Some districts are scouring their shelves of books because they're out of fear. They're taking away every program that has any notion of anything relative to DEI. So we don't want to do that either. But does anyone really know the full answer? I would agree that that's what the law is saying right now in this illegal DEI, and it is about race-based. I agree there. But again, what that truly means, I don't know. And I like to think I'm pretty well versed in that area, and they're not. And Mrs. White, you're right to say everything you said. It's when I said I was enraged, now you're feeling it, because this is what I came back to on Monday.
And how do we know that it's just gonna be race? Could it be, transgender? Could it be?
That's
We
at
already
the
had
state
to get
level.
rid of that
I know we
policy,
did.
unfortunately.
That's at the state
Okay,
level, Mrs.
I
White.
know
They're
it
going
is.
after the sexual ideology.
That's what I mean, though. Who's next? Because once they do one, then who's next if somebody doesn't step up and speak up? That's what I'm afraid of. And I think I agree with you. They don't know what the hell diversity means, or inclusion, or equity. They don't realize what it really is and what it really means. And it's stupidity, but that's where we are. And yeah, I'm mad. Very.
And Mr. Gomez, you stated it well that, you said we don't want to do more than what we have to do. And I think that is why why on the agenda tonight we have what we have for a suspension and not a rescission. It's so that within this time frame, if something needs to be signed, we can legally sign. We're in a spot that protects us and protects our funding and licensures and all of the things, but it also gives us time to go back and make sure that whatever we need to do from a policy standpoint is not more than what we need to do, but also compliant.
But respectfully, the superintendent didn't point to anything in the policy as being a potential issue when I asked her that. And if she would like to, I'm open to it. I'll listen. She knows I'll always listen to her.
Are you talking about this DEI policy
Yes.
specifically? All I can say is that the attorneys that I've spoken to, and in the webinars and everything else that I've been in, and superintendent colleagues talking that have DEI policies, everyone is in the same boat. They've either rescinded, or they're talking about rescinding, or they're talking about now the new thing is suspending, honestly, because it has, again, it's riddled. Our policy has diversity, equity, inclusion words everywhere, and we talk about, providing equity, like equity, and saying that we're gonna, provide resources where they're needed. Like then the argument there would be that it's providing, equity is providing resources to one group over another. And whether I agree with that or not, I'm just telling you the arguments that I have heard. And when you're asking me that question, I guess that is one thing I think they could question. Again, not that I agree with it, but it pains me just as much as others at the table to have to even have this conversation and to be in the predicament we're in. But I do think suspending it gives us a chance to breathe, because we're all emotional about this right now. And this board, I know, we are all united. We're united in how we feel about this. And so what I don't want to see us happen is splinter off, because we're all in the same boat here. We believe in the same things. So we've got to keep that in mind. And I know the approach and we might not agree with how we arrived here, and that's okay. But I think we need to keep in mind what's best for this district and our students. And if suspending it is the recommendation, the way to go, I would like to see us support that, and then let's take time to breathe and figure out what our next steps are, because we're going to come up with something that provides for all these children in this district.
can we just suspend until the next meeting, because that'll be past that due date, and there should be, some sort of
You want to revisit it at the next meeting
response
after that date?
from the thing. I mean, I'm just opening up that conversation.
So if that's the case, yeah, we don't have to deal with 3 at all. We could keep, the only piece is that contrary, and I don't know how much of a hangup that is. If you look at that language, it says contrary, but if we wanna just wait till the next meeting, could we potentially do that? I mean, I don't know that 100% because of that contrary language. If you see it,
I think we could have an argument that, rescinding an equity policy is contrary to our existing policy on providing equity for our
I mean,
students.
I think we can make an argument.
I think we would all agree to
Yeah,
that,
it is.
everybody,
I'm
everybody.
sorry, I couldn't hear what you said, Mr. Gomez.
I think we would agree that not providing diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging is contrary to our existing policy if we suspend it.
I think that could work.
If that's where the path we take. I'm just giving us an out on that.
It buys us to
If-
pass the date.
Yeah, I would, if it's throw the baby out with the bathwater, or us removing item 3, and then revisiting at the next meeting, item 4, I would, if the board after discussion feels that that's a route that they feel comfortable going, then I would support that.
And this
So-
is policy AEA.
Yes.
What about DEIB?
That's the DEIB policy. It's
It's-
coded as AEA.
Yeah,
It's its code. 'Cause all,
Oh, okay.
just
I'm
like
sorry.
policy, the policy on suspension is coded BFF.
Oh, okay, I thought that was the code, the policy.
Which it is not at this moment.
No, it's not our best
You're
friend.
right,
It
you're
will
right.
never be our best friend forever.
Thank you.
okay, but do we have to sign that for ODE by the 18th? Our next board meeting isn't until the 23rd. Are we
don't-
gonna
Well,
be
we're,
okay?
we can still do.
Are we okay?
We're just saying that we
Yes.
If it's,
still
Okay,
discussed
okay.
it.
And
if
we
it's
don't sign it,
suspended
it would be
until the
Dr. Sullivan.
23rd, then
Yes.
we're still compliant.
Okay, that's all I wanna know, is if we wait till the next board meeting, we are okay legally.
We just
All right.
have to have it suspended at that time. If she decides to sign it, then we would be compliant at that time.
Okay,
And
so
then we can move forward at that
Okay,
time.
So
that's all.
we are on item 3,
Mhm.
and we've had discussion. So are we,
I vote no.
Well,
Oh.
it's just a
or
call the roll.
are we ready to
Call the
call the roll on this piece then?
I'm,
Okay,
everybody,
Yeah,
will be first. Just
I'm
preparing
sorry.
everyone.
okay, Mr. Gomez, please call the roll.
Ms. Coco?
No.
Mr. Gomez? No. Ms. White?
nay.
Mrs. Schaefer?
No.
Mr. Harris?
No.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Gomez. Item 4, board policy suspension. It is recommended that the following policy be suspended until further notice of the Board of Education, policy AEA.
Do we have to change that
Yes.
verbiage?
No, we have to get a first and
Sorry.
second and then
Right,
amend.
then we can.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
So moved.
Did we get a second? I'm sorry.
Yeah, Mr. Harris.
Okay,
So now we could talk about,
so now,
we do have to make a revision to this.
I move to amend to suspend until the next meeting of the board compliant with board policy BFF.
I'll
You know what,
second.
Mr. Gomez, if I may, I don't think you might not need to say that, you could just say in compliance with,
Okay.
I think, because it already is stated in the next meeting. That language is already in that policy. You know what I mean?
the policy already says
States
until the
that,
next
yeah.
meeting,
I'll make
Okay.
Christy work it out.
right?
Okay.
So because we didn't do item 3, item 4 would stand just until the next meeting.
And Ms. White seconded. And we're discussing the amendment.
Okay, discussion of the amendment.
Proposed amendment.
which I know we kind of already discussed with item 3.
Yeah, thanks for working that out.
Yeah.
Any more discussion? Alright, Mr. Gomez, call the roll.
This is for the amendment.
Correct.
Mr. Gomez, aye. Ms. White?
Aye.
Mrs. Schaefer?
Aye.
Mr. Harris?
Aye.
Ms. Coco?
Aye.
Back to the main motion as amended.
Okay. So now we're on discussion 4
As amended.
as amended. Do I need to do it as recommended?
Mm-mm.
Okay. So any discussion then on number 4 as amended? We're back on the main.
No, do you have to read the whole thing?
No.
No.
All right, awesome.
I can live with it. That's where I'm at on the,
Okay.
I think that
I can
it
live
suits,
with
it suits our needs at this time
Mhm.
as best as we can at this
I
time.
would recommend, since this is, but now until the next meeting, I would highly recommend, you know, sunshine laws, like, we're only discussing this in open as a board, but, I think that there needs to be, reaching out to legal as, you know, our legal team is available to everyone, individually, and, there may need to be a policy committee meeting again sooner rather than later, because we're gonna need to start the process to have something, that the board is comfortable with our policy, so.
And how many days
bring it to
notice
them.
do you need for a policy meeting? Is it 3 days? Or 2?
48 hours.
40 hours, okay.
So I would just like to,
And I spoke with Dr. Salico and we talked about, getting something in writing, so she said that she would have a conversation with, Ms. Ginkgo as well.
I know there's just, as Dr. Salico said, they want everyone to be confused. That's part of their agenda. And it is very, with all of us agreeing as a board on what we want to do to support this district and support our students, it is hard for us to wrestle with, are we doing enough? And what we don't want to go over the line and do too much, but we definitely don't want to risk our funding for our students, because that would be detrimental to them. And so I think it's very important that legal guidance is sought sooner rather than later, and that all of the board members have an opportunity to listen to legal counsel. All 5 of us are very talented with different things, but none of us are lawyers. And even lawyers are having a hard time right now figuring this out, so.
And I agree, it's purposeful. This order was written by people that have the most expensive attorneys that you could have, the most powerful people in the world are accessible to write this, and it has been delivered so vague, and I can only assume that was done on purpose to keep us guessing and keep us on our toes in that regards, to make us wonder if we're doing something wrong, and make us stop trying to just and give up, I guess. It's the only thing, and I know there are people that are very supportive of these executive orders, but I would say that they've not been delivered in a way that I feel like that I want to support, because they've just not been handled in a business-like manner, I would say. So, for what that's worth, it could have been handled much better with facts.
Any-
Definitions.
Definitions
Any more?
and
discussion?
guidelines.
Maybe a brain in their head.
Well, you said it.
I did.
Mr. Gomez?
Okay.
Is everyone ready?
Mhm.
Mr. Gomez, would you please call the roll?
Ms. White,
Aye.
Mrs. Schaefer,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Aye.
Ms. Coco,
Aye.
Mr. Gomez, aye.
Great. Item 5, resolution policy. It is recommended the Board of Education approves the resolution to allow the Cuyahoga Falls City School District to adopt the model policy for policy IGB.
So moved.
Second.
Where are we?
Okay, discussion around
Yeah,
item 5.
This is a requirement?
Yes.
Okay.
Great. Mr. Gomez, would you please call the roll?
Mrs. Schaefer,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Aye.
Ms. Coco,
Aye.
Mr. Gomez, aye. Ms. White.
Aye.
Item 6 is policy adoption. It is recommended that the Board of Education adopts the following policies. Section,
oh.
Section B, School Board Governance and Operations, BCE Board Committees. Section D, Fiscal Management, DECA, Administration of Federal Grant Funds. DJF, Purchasing Procedures, DGJF-R, Purchasing Procedures. Section E, Supporting Services, EDE, Computer Online Services, Acceptable Use and Internet Safety. Section G, Personnel, GBH, Staff Student Relations. Section I, Instruction, IGAH, IGAI, Family Life Education, Sex Education. IGBA, Programs for Students with Disabilities. IGBLA, Promoting Parental Involvement. IGCH-R, College Credit Plus. IJ Guidance Programs. Section J, Student, JECB, Admission of Non-Resident Students. JECBB, Interdistrict Enrollment. JEFB, Release Time for Religious Instruction. JGE, Student Expulsion. JHC, Student Health Services and Requirements. JACA, Physical Examinations of Students. JHCD, Non-Administration of Medicines. JHCD-R-1, Administering Medicine to Students. JHF, Student Safety. JHG, Reporting Child Abuse and Mandatory Training. Section K, School Community Relations. KBA, Public's Right to Know. Now, Ms.
Oh, so moved.
Second.
Mrs. Schaefer, window.
Discussion?
Just say, several of these are required by law, not necessarily things we would adopt if it was our choice, but the law required them to go into effect today. There's no timeline on when they have to go into effect today, so we are still perfectly compliant adopting them at 7:26 p.m. And we did our best to wait as long as we could.
Thank you, Mr. Gomez. Mr. Gomez, would you please call the roll?
Yeah, I think Mr. Gomez, aye. Ms. White,
Aye.
Mrs. Schaefer,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Aye.
Ms. Coco.
Aye. Item 7 is policy second read and adoption. It is recommended that the Board of Education holds a second reading and adopts the following policy, IKF graduation requirements.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Just reflecting changes to the law.
Right, Mr. Gomez, please call the roll.
Ms. White,
Aye.
Mrs. Schaefer,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Aye.
Ms. Coco,
Aye.
Mr. Gomez, aye.
Thank you. Item 8 is future agenda items. We know that we will have our board policy AEA back on the agenda at our next meeting. Are there any other future agenda items anyone would like to add?
Are we still doing future of the schools every second meeting Ms. Sokol?
I think that will probably follow with discussion. If we are ready to put a resolution on, like we had discussed, the first step that we needed, was to make sure all the board members had the information they needed to make the, for us to do a resolution for a closing of a building.
Of a building,
Of
correct,
a
yeah.
building, yes. That needed to be the first step before any more discussion were to be had. So I think that would be something that would be on the next agenda. Would be the first step,
To discuss it or to take action, sorry, I just went that.
to discuss a resolution,
No, I was following,
or
which would you say?
I think that it would need, that we need to do a resolution
At the
at
next
the
meeting?
next meeting.
I'm fine with that personally, but, I would want, like, a presentation briefly just of, like, how we got here, like, a highlight of the financials, the enrollment changes, you know what I'm, like, nothing specific to buildings, cause that's to
Right.
any specific building, that's not what we're talking
But
about,
just on
but
our
just,
financial picture.
yeah, the
the
things that are
district.
driving us to that, so that we're clear on why we're making that part of the decision. Does that make sense? Just like what
so-
the enrollment, the decrease in enrollment over time, and then the financial situation.
Part of it is like a repeat, because
Yeah.
she said, she
And
already
we
went
said-
over
I mean-
part
She
of
already
that.
has that,
Yeah,
but I
because
just
we
think
already did
just
the
briefly
financial
going,
forecast.
A refresher, and then.
briefly going through that again right before we go there, I think would be important. If a community member was just tuning into that meeting and going, oh, they voted to close a building.
So would that be a discussion that is just had here, right, with a part of that resolution, or are you
think
asking
so.
for that to be a presentation?
I think just as part of that, just to briefly walk through that enrollment decrease and then the financial situation again. And then maybe how long that's been on the table, cause I think going back to the last levy campaign, it was included in the statement of facts as well. So just highlighting that, I think, is important, that this isn't, as much as I think that resolution might catch the broader community's attention, I think it's important also to highlight that this isn't something that we are just dropping out of nowhere as well. I think is important to highlight.
I could speak to Ms. Stokley about that, Ms. Coco.
Yeah.
I know
And-
exactly, I know what you
Yeah.
mean.
And if any of the board members have, any other, this is just specifically for closing of a school. If anyone has any other information that they need in order to, comfortably vote on that, please reach out to Dr. Sokol and Mrs. Stokely.
This won't be a specific building.
No,
It's just
not at
that
all.
we-
No, this
Okay,
is,
that's what I thought.
no,
Okay,
we had
just
agreed
making
that this
sure.
needs to be
Yeah,
the first
okay.
step in, moving forward with any, more discussion, data collecting and all of that. We need to have that, so. Thank you. Anyone else? Right, item 9, committee reports, 6 through 12 construction core team, Ms. White.
Yes, we met on April 3rd, and the early site development is going well. The 612 building, the stadium and sidewalk curbs are getting done and in place. They're getting poured and so on. Masonry is now off-site, carpentry, drywall, and paint. They are ongoing throughout the building, casework installation, the framing and hanging of drywall in the auditorium, which is exciting, installing locker brackets in the lockers and so on, the sound panel rigging, ceiling grid in the kitchen. So it's really progressing quite a ways. The glazing, those integral blinds around the building, the gym floors in the high school and the auxiliary gym floor, the wood is on its getting started, and there will be a rubber flooring in the auxiliary gym. I'm not sure when that's gonna start, but I think they're, getting to that process. Roofing is continuing, plumbing, they're wrapping up on the, second floor, the mechanical room work. HVAC, also same thing, electrical and tech ongoing, and we're getting there. The late site work, the football field excavation depends on the weather when they can start that, but that will be coming up, and they'd like to wrap that up by August.
They have been moving dirt
Yeah,
in the field.
so, master schedule update, Mr. Bugatti is looking into the Midwest Installation Group to, see the amount that they would charge to move everybody, because you're actually moving 3 buildings into one. So, somebody, we hope, can give us a good rate there. The stadium, we're looking in and discussing the opening and trying to get a certificate of occupancy with the county, so that we can have some of those games at the new stadium. So that'll be interesting. And then closing Clifford off, we're looking at that. There are videos going out, or they already did, I believe. The Black Box Theater, Cosmetology and Media Centers, and Modern Media and Press Box. So it's coming. So we had a little ribbon cutting ceremony, discussions to commence in the middle of July, and of course, I thought, oh, it's gonna be done. And I spoke out, no, it's not, it's just discussion starting, darn. But at any rate, so those things are ongoing. The Bolick abate and demo, we will get, the GMP amendment is in the process, it will be signed by Oaks. Design meetings are going on with the science rooms, especially the chemicals and how they store them. If it has doors, a lip doesn't need to be involved, but if it's just a vent or no doors, a lip would need to be there to protect those, things from, kids getting hold of them or falling off or whatever. The teacher desk outlets, we're looking at that. Trying to get that taken care of so that the outlets are on the desks and can kind of, how do we do it? I'm not sure yet how we're gonna get that done, but that is, something we're looking at. The photos, okay, of, the existing high school, Black Tiger portraits, all the years, I think they found almost all of them except 2.
There's a couple missing, yes.
Yeah, a couple
I have
missing,
the list now.
but they have the photos so that we can put those up in the new building. The bricks at LeBourne and Clifford, they can't really save them, unfortunately. I know a lot of people paid money to have a brick, and I know I did as well, but they're going to do something, take photographs of the names and post them somehow. We're not sure yet what we can do, but we're looking into that. So, at least the people that bought these things,
Ms. White,
will have their names, yeah.
at Laybourne, the bricks have been gone for a long time. Did they already
They
photograph
took the
them?
pictures,
Oh, okay.
yes, the photographs of the bricks were taken by
Okay.
TDA. I'm sorry, I should have stated that
Okay, I
better.
thought so, but I just wanted
Yeah,
to
no,
clarify it.
that's
Thank you.
correct, I'm sorry, I should have stated it. And then the stadium at Clifford, the same thing, so. Our next meeting is May 8th at 1:30. I think that's about everything. Did I miss anything, anybody? It's a lot of technical stuff, I know,
Thank you.
which I'm so good at.
I know athletics and activity is meeting,
April 28th at
28th,
4:30,
right?
but I didn't get a location yet. Did we get a
I think
location?
it's typically here in the
Okay.
right off the cafeteria.
But we did not, he didn't say, but that's usually what we need.
And then, board policy, Business Alliance Council, Mr. Harris, I know
Yeah.
you met this week.
Yes, we met yesterday. Dr. Selico's first day back for this meeting. First time back for this meeting. You gave a quick update on the preschool, updates to the financial forecast, executive orders, the new campus. Then we got a presentation from Ms. Kathy Nicholson as well regarding school links and how the folks there, stakeholders, can create opportunities for our students. It's really, really cool to see the back end of all that and everything they're able to do, create these videos for the kids, kind of do these virtual interviews, learn a little bit more about the company, internship opportunities, all this stuff through there. It's really cool. Then she went over, gave a quick JOG update as well, and then Kamisha from Junior Achievement gave a virtual reality presentation. she chose a knee surgery demonstration. Yeah, it was interesting. Remember the blood splattering on the screen when they like cut it?
Stop it.
Yeah, oh yeah. You missed it.
I heard about that from Mrs. Moffett, was so traumatized
It's
that
really-
she had to tell everybody.
I get why high
last night
school
in our
kids
meeting.
like that stuff, you
That's
know?
Mrs. Schaefer's dream.
It was really cool. But I mean, they have this entire program, virtual reality program. The kids can go in and choose different careers in different industries, and they could, you know, do a knee surgery or, you know,
That's cool.
one was what is it? We talk about financial spreadsheet or something.
Yeah,
if you
they
get
had a
into
bunch
fun-
of
That one's a little boring, but
manufacturing,
there's some pretty
healthcare.
pretty cool
Financial
ones. But
spreadsheet.
Spreadsheets.
but no, that was pretty much it.
Exciting.
Ms. Schaefer, you joined me as well. I appreciate you coming, and if I missed anything, just let me know.
Thank you very much, Mr. Harris. District Wellness Committee, do you have a meeting scheduled?
We met one day this week, the 7th, whatever day that was. I thought it was at 9:30, it was at 9 o'clock, so I was a little bit late for it. But Chef Bill made smoothies for everyone. They were delicious. He did smoothies, like a taste test with some of the kids. Apparently, they're going to be on the menu. Hold on, let me put my glasses on. He said that they are going to be on the menu 2 times a week. And they're gonna be tested every day during summer school. Chicken salads also being added to the elementary menu, and bistro boxes at all the buildings. He was telling me they did a taste test too. They had a strawberry spinach salad with a raspberry vinaigrette, and he did a taste test with them, and the kids were like, no, thank you. And, but then he let them try it with, he asked them, well, you know, what don't you like about it? And he let them, they said they didn't like the dressing, so they let them have it with ranch dressing. And then they were on board with it with ranch dressing. And he's like, listen, it's not what we like, it's what they like. And I'm like, you know what? You are 100% correct. It's what they like. I want it with the raspberry vinaigrette, but maybe a 3rd grader wants it with ranch dressing. And who cares? They're eating bison.
I would've swapped out the spinach.
Spinach is a superfood. Let them have it. Chef Bill reviewed the updates for next school year. They've updated the nutritional components for the meals and what's required, and he gave us a little sheet with the. They're changing what's required with the added sugars, the sodium, and we talked about that a couple meetings ago. A wellness committee, we talked about that. I think maybe in the fall we talked about it here. And then he said we just got back the strawberry milk. He said it's not as good as it used to be because it's a little bit lower sugar and it's no longer pink. It's white.
My nephew loves that.
I love to hear that. I said, well, it doesn't matter what color it is because it's in a carton. You're not really notice what color it is, right?
No,
But-
he said, my nephew asked me, did you know that you can buy a chocolate milk and a strawberry milk?
I would have never see.
And you,
Kids are smart.
and in fact, you can.
They just want what they want. Let them have it. A strawberry and a chocolate. It's still low sugar. They're having a Try It Friday. Schools will offer samples to students, open to all students, not just those who buy lunch. They're going to try to be mindful of, well, not try, they will be mindful of allergies. We split off into subcommittees, staff wellness subcommittees and school meal committees. Guess which one I was on? School meals. We talked about the updated things and things that we can do to up our score on the assessments that we have been doing to make sure that we're like in compliance with what the federal regulations are. Although it's not, some of them are federal regulations, some of them are suggestions, making fruit available and visible and then look appealing, and then having like artwork in the dining area, which sometimes is hard because sometimes the dining area is also the gymnasium. So if we have artwork, then it's gonna get hit with a basketball or a person. So we just ran some ideas, and we also talked a little bit too, I think sometimes we get a little bit jaded about what our school, nutrition, what goes on in our kitchens. Because we're only required to have people that are serve safe, one person that's, I think he said, level 1 serve safe in each kitchen. And I think he said, like, everyone is level 1 serve safe in our kitchen, and we have we have managers that are level 2 serve safe, I believe is what he said. So we're like well above compliance. So we have people that are working in our kitchens that know what they're looking for, sanitation wise and nutrition wise, that also that care about what it looks like, the food that we're producing, and then care about the kids. So we have, we really have top tier people putting out food for our kids. So I think we're really lucky in that aspect. And sometimes we forget, because it's really easy to pick on food, I think. And I think sometimes we forget how lucky we are to have top tier people working with our kids in our school nutrition. So I just wanted to give a shout out for that. So, and that's all I have for that.
Thank you, Ms. Schaefer.
Sorry for rambling.
No, you're good.
That was great.
Yes.
Yeah.
For the Foundation and Alumni Association, we met last night. A lot of it was focused around the upcoming Distinguished Alumni and Scholarship Award Program, which is May 6th. Mark your calendars. At 7 p.m. We have 52 student scholarships this year. And I don't want to misquote and mix up the numbers. It is either $134,000 or $143,000 in scholarships. One of the two. I believe it's 134, but my mind may have mixed up those two numbers right now. So, and then there are I believe 7 teacher grants that are being awarded this year as well. So.
Do they find out ahead of time about the scholarships, or do they?
They do. The scholarships they've been emailed, that they are getting the scholarships, and they were just putting in the mail today, congratulatory letters to those that were awarded the scholarships.
They don't know
As well.
which scholarship they get
Okay.
until that night.
They know that.
So they know that they got a scholarship, but they find out which one and how much it's for that evening.
Okay.
Because I think, is there 20,000?
There is a 20,000.
So, yeah, there's
Ooh,
another
wow.
last year there was a 20,000 and then there's another 20,000
That's
this year.
exciting.
That's wonderful.
And I got to turn to Ms. Coco last year and go, that girl just got $20,000 and she doesn't even know it.
That's amazing.
So it's a pretty
And-
thrilling moment.
That scholarship, one of the larger scholarships, we actually had a potential board member come last night for the first time, and she was from the class. She received a scholarship and then went on and graduated from Akron U and is doing all kinds of awesome things. And she said that one of the only reasons she had received a larger scholarship that she was able to go to college was because of one of the scholarships she got through the Alumni Foundation. So it was really cool that she connected and wants to give back and possibly be on the board.
That's
So she
amazing.
came to the first meeting last night, so, yeah, so it was good and exciting to see new people wanting to come and join. Apologies, my voice is going. So that was the main focus of last night's meeting. Legislative liaison, Mr. Harris.
Nothing happening in the State House at all. Just kidding. So there's a lot happening, so I'm not going to cover everything. I can't with the time, but just a few things here with the budget. First, though, last Monday, Governor DeWine signed House Bill 54. That is the transportation budget. There were a few pieces related to K-12 education in that. It'll allow for the creation of school zones outside of preschools run by educational service centers. Authorizes the use of vehicles that can carry up to 12 passengers for student transportation, and it revises the list of equipment that must be checked during daily pre-trip school bus inspections. And then to the budget. Last week, House Republicans unveiled their version of operating budget. While they did provide additional money, $226 million for public schools, and we're grateful for that, they are choosing not to fund through the Fair School Funding Plan, which we know would fully fund our schools. I know the changes that came out of the Finance Committee yesterday, thank you for shooting it over to me, it made it a lot easier, mentioned a possible new formula for fiscal year 28 and beyond, but we'll see. House Republicans' budget also included a 25% cap on the amount of money the schools can carry over in their operating budgets, which are mostly funded by property taxes. That number was changed to 30% for the final budget out of the Finance Committee yesterday, which means that districts would be required to return anything over that percentage to property taxpayers. Originally, the governor's proposed budget forced districts to sell buildings where less than 60% of students are enrolled. That has been removed from the House's proposed budget. A change that came out of the Finance Committee yesterday was a reduction from 5 to 3 years, the duration for an operational revenue and expenditure forecast. So 5-year forecast down to 3 years in duration. Is that right? Yeah.
That's a good thing. Yay.
Yeah. And again, that, if you guys remember, that's something we have to do twice annually. So again, we do that 5-year forecast twice a year. We would have to do 3 years. So, and they also.
And we wouldn't have had to do a financial recovery plan if it wasn't for
If it wasn't
that.
for it, right.
So,
And then they also added requirements for ODE to establish a system for comparing the performance data of state scholarship students enrolled at chartered non-public schools with the data of similar students. So we're getting a little bit of an accountability system as it relates to some of the charter schools as well. So it was really, I was really glad to see that put in there. But I know there's a lot more as it relates to this. I think there was supposed to be a vote. There could have been a vote while we were sitting here right now. I know there was a lot of stuff being held up with the whole Browns Stadium money right now. I think they're going back and forth on that. That's what's slowing up the vote. But I'm hoping to walk out of here and see that they finalize their budget, and it's going to be off to I think it's going to head back. Is it going to the Senate?
I was told Senate at the end of this month.
Senate, okay. So we still have some time, but I will keep everyone updated, and if anyone needs any information, I have everything.
they
So-
passed it 60 to 39.
They passed it.
Oh.
There we go. So, thank you all.
It's like we could put
Thank you, Mr.
Right.
Harris. And Ms. White's student achievement? Anything
Oh,
for
no, we
student
did not
achievement?
meet.
Okay. All right, that brings us to number 10, comments. Mr. Harris,
Yeah,
take a breath here first.
Yeah, just another congratulations to our students. We recognize this evening, I mean, again, we say this all the time, but that's the reason we do this, so we can recognize the hard work of our students. And thank you to all the faculty involved in their success as well. Welcome back, Dr. C. We're glad to have you back. And thank you, Ms. Hausman, for holding down things while she was gone. You all did a fantastic job, just administrative across the board, so thank you. I know it's probably good for you, Dr. C, to know that you have a very competent team in place. So I know you don't like being gone, but I know it made it easier knowing you had them. As we recognize Mr. Gomez, I was able to attend the spring conference I believe it was last Monday, if I remember correctly. Again, congratulations, Mr. Gomez, on your recognition. I don't think any of us would ever argue that you're not a master board member. So, you're one of the most knowledgeable we have here, so definitely well-deserved. And congratulations, Ms. White, on your tenure being a board member. God bless you. And I always like to point this out. I told Ms. Schaefer I would mention it. I judge a lot of these events based off the food we're served. And the food at this place was fantastic.
That's why we go to that one, not the other one.
It was amazing. I know now. It was
Now we know.
delicious. So fantastic job. It was DeLuca's, right? In Warren, is that what they were called?
Lucia's.
DeLucia's. DeLucia's, fantastic. They did a fantastic job. I also attended a care dinner last week on Thursday. Always glad to have the opportunity to attend that. Congratulations to the Cuyahoga Falls Library for their recognition and for all they do for our families and community. Like we're dealing with here in education, they are also dealing with their own problems as it relates to funding on their end, and we are behind our libraries 100%. So again, it's just their recognition is just another example of all they do for our community. And then I was going to mention some of the DEI stuff. I'm not a very emotional person, but I don't know if I could get through it. Ms. White, you pretty much summed it up. What we're up against here, And I will say, some of the stuff they're coming after, I would not have been able to attend college without the, with the specific scholarship I received. So I think about all the kids like me, high school, college, who are some of my own students, from when I was subbing that I still keep in touch with. Their scholarships are in question right now. They don't know what is to come, so it's just devastating we have to go through this without a clear plan from their end, leaving us scrambling to figure something out. I just, I'm very appreciative to be in this. We have a very great board here, and we're all in this for the same reason. It's for our students, and I know that we will get through this, and I will keep doing everything I can to bug them, to push them, to get on their nerves, because that's what we need to do. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. Mrs. Schaefer.
Well, it seems like it's been a couple of weeks since we've been here. Has it been three? It's been 3 weeks. So we've had a lot of things going on in the district. So we attended the state of the city since last time, right? Then we also went to the state of the village, and then we watched, and subsequently the swearing in of Sergeants Johnson and Rowe. And I believe that Sergeant Rowe was at literacy night too. So we were also the literacy night. I love the literacy night at the library, and it was different from last year. Set up different. They had like a book tasting. I'm like, a book tasting? What is a book tasting? And then they had different genre setups. You could. I went through with a friend who has 2 young children, and a first grader at Preston, and I was making her fill those out and write those papers out by herself. She did a really great job sounding words out and everything, and doing it. Go first grade over at Preston. Did a great job. It was a lot of fun, and then going around, and the what is the media room called up there? Where they were
Makerspace.
The makerspace, where they had the green screen set up, and they did they took your picture and then put you on the green screen. That was a lot of fun. And they put the little masks on, and then the tiger and the Mona Lisa. That was fun. But you had to. I just kind of walked over there. I was like, oh, I think I want my picture taken with the tiger. No, because you had to finish 3 sections before you were allowed to get your picture taken with the tiger. Don't jump in line to get your picture taken with the tiger. You had to get 3 stamps first before you could get your picture taken with the tiger. So, and then the vendor, I want to mention the vendor fair too. I didn't get a chance to mention the vendor fair before the vendor fair, but I wanted to say, they're really always a good event. Susan Keller doesn't mess around with a vendor event. There was a lot of people there doing like vending goods. And I got these earrings from there. They are 3D printed. I bought a couple gifts. I'm not going to say what they are because they are gifts for people. But I did not. I'm sorry, I didn't get you anything.
Oh, okay.
And then I'm sure Mr. Gomez is going to mention it, but then we stayed after for the math tournament, and I am an aggressive game player, and I will say these kids were so polite, and when you get your card, and then when you get your answer, you're supposed to like tap the thing. I would probably be slamming, like, I got it, and slam it. These kids are just like, got it, just tapping, I got it. And they were so polite, and it was really impressive. They were working with double digits, and it's harder than you think it is, because I then tried to play it when I went home, and it is a little bit difficult. So, it was very impressive. I had a good time watching it. So much going on, so much fun stuff. So Sorry, I love that.
No,
Thank you. Ms. White?
I too attended the CARE dinner, as we all did, and it was wonderful, as it always is. Congratulations to the library. They do a wonderful job. They just are wonderful. And so we appreciate the work and the effort they do. I also was reading in the notes, the literacy, ongoing, the building partnerships request. I think that is really neat that each building, the elementary buildings are getting like the Y or the First Tee Golf or Zahan's martial arts and things like American Heart Association, in it, plus their PTOs and all that, but they're getting a lot of interest in this. And so I think that's really a neat thing. And then finally, I have an obit. Mrs. Evelyn Crawford, she died, she was 81. She taught for 30 years. First year it was first grade, and then after that was all second graders, and she liked to describe them as being her favorite age. And I kind of agree, but yeah, I like the little kids as well. But just a very kind and generous person, and our heartfelt condolences go out to her family. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. White. I'm up next. I know everyone's mentioned so many different things, so I won't take a lot of time. Vendor fair, I got my picture with the Easter Bunny at the vendor fair, only because the student that was helping insisted I do so I did. Very excited about the art walk coming up, the CARE Awards dinner that we all attended, and then literacy night. As Mrs. Schaefer said, it's just a great event, and so thank you to everyone that puts that together. I actually helped with the book tasting. A student, I don't know what grade he was, but he looked about second, but he was a Price student, and he was telling me how much he loved history and everything history, and specifically American history. And I asked him who his favorite person in history was, and he said Martin Luther King Jr. And I said, do you know any, can you do any of his speech? And he just started rattling off. I have the speech, not just that part, just anyways. I was able to take him over where the free books were, and I actually found there were American history books over there.
Yeah.
And I said, this one has your name on it, right here. So, libraries matter.
They do.
A lot of the things that are being challenged right now matter. And so that's all I will say. Looking forward to going to Music Man this weekend. That Mrs. Schaefer will be playing the clarinet. She didn't tell anyone that. So I'll put that out so everyone knows. And that is all. Mr. Gomez.
Yeah, I was also at literacy night, and a shout out to Mrs. Taraji, who helped my oldest nephew with the craft, because he said, I don't do glue, I do glue stick. So Mrs. Taraji helped him do the craft and got her fingers in the glue for him. So big shout out to Mrs. Taraji for that. But he very much enjoyed the book tasting because he's a voracious reader, and so he found a book series that he now wants to read all of. In the sci-fi area. So
yes.
I was over at my sister's house last night, and he had the book tasting thing, and he's like, I'm leaving it right there because I'm ready to go to the library and get these books. So
Do you remember what they were?
I don't remember.
Oh, I bet I
So
remember.
that was a great event, and then also was at the CARE dinner on Friday, was at the Roberts Food Truck Festival, and from what I heard from their PTO president, it was very successful. They raised quite a bit of money from that, and it was really quite fun. I like when they come up with different
That was a great idea.
fundraising ideas, and it was really a lot of fun to be there. Was also at the vendor fair, bought lots of things there, and then stayed for the 24 math. And the one family I sat with told me that they're a very competitive family because they're involved in soccer, but it was so important to them to make sure that their kids participated in this, because there's only so many like honor rolls and straight A's that they can get before their kids don't really feel like that's exciting anymore, because they're just used to being the straight A kids. So to give their kids an opportunity to compete with other kids and to make this part of who they are competitive was really meaningful to the parents. So they really were appreciative of that. And that family has three kiddos, and all of them received medals.
They all played.
They all placed. So it was a really wonderful event. And if Miss Belko hasn't gotten Miss Stewart the pictures yet, we made sure that she took some good pictures at the end.
Scheduled for Friday.
Okay. Yeah. She was trying to let everyone go. I was like, maybe we get a picture of all the winners together
He sure did.
under the 24 math. And she was like, good idea. I was like, when Christine can't be here, we have to think for her. So we tried to get you some.
Everywhere.
We try to get some good photos for you. But that was really a wonderful event, and the families seemed very appreciative of it. And then on Sunday, the band had their mattress sale, and I actually needed a new mattress.
Oh, really?
So I went to the mattress sale, and the price. I will say, if ever you do need a new mattress, wait for the band's mattress sale. You can try out all kinds of different mattresses. They're very knowledgeable, and they do give you a good deal. So I will verify that it's a good bargain if ever you need one. And then lastly, I also attended our spring Northeast Ohio School Boards Association dinner last Monday, and it was nice. I always like catching up with folks from around the region and chatting with them about what's going on in the school board world.
In the boy world. Thank you, Mr. Gomez. Brings us to item J, executive session. Pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Section 121.22 G1 and Ohio Revised Code Section 121.22 G2, it is hereby moved that the board adjourn to executive session to consider the employment of a public employee or official and to consider the purchase of property for public purposes, the sale of property at competitive bidding, or the sale of other disposition of unneeded, obsolete, or unfit for use property.
Second.
Ms. White? I'm calling the vote.
Oh. Sorry. Aye.
Mrs. Schaefer? Aye. Mr. Harris?
Aye.
Ms. White? Ms. Coco?
Aye.
Mr. Gomez? Aye.
We are hereby entering into executive session. There will be no discussion afterwards at 8:06.